There they are. I already see our lovely viewers popping up in the chat. We are rolling.
Oh, excellent.
And good morning.
Good
How we doing?
morning. How am I doing?
How you doing?
I mean, apart from the fact that it's colder than a witch's tit outside,
It is a brisk, chilly morning.
it does brisk, baby.
Wow, those commercials are, that's been a minute. You know what else has been a long time ago? George Floyd died. George Floyd committed suicide by cop almost 2 years ago. And there's a reason that I mentioned that today. It's almost 2 years ago. We're still short a couple months. But Biden worst president ever is the number 2 trend on Twitter globally this morning.
Really?
Now, like I said in the description, if you guys read it, I know that my audience generally, like Sergeant Major, Steve, Jamie, good morning, guys. I know that my audience generally doesn't care what's going on Twitter, but you guys do have an interest in the zeitgeist, in what's happening in politics. And the fact of the matter is that Twitter is a fantastic barometer for the conversation that's happening amid the blue anon psychotic far left.
It's actually a good measuring stick for the actual conversation and then the conversation that the powers that be wish we were having.
That's an interesting and that's a pretty solid take, actually. But
To get turd start this hashtag.
you know, it's funny you should ask that, David. I don't think he started it, but he's definitely right up there at the top right now. So looks like the way I've got this cropped in, you can't see cat turd very well. So there's cat. Damn it, David, your chat is in the way. There, cat turd right there at the top. So yes, no, cat turd didn't start the hashtag as near as I can tell, but he has definitely been having some fun with it. And what I have found amusing, of course we're getting a bunch of takes like this. It should be, but number one, but Twitter is preventing it. Yes. I did not vote for it. 3 more years. But what the other thing I've been seeing a lot of on Twitter this morning, just off of this hashtag, and guys, understand, I'm not one to doom scroll Twitter a lot. Honestly, if the show this morning is about something on Twitter, it's because I was looking for something to talk about and hadn't settled on anything. So I decided to take advantage of the algorithm and make a show that will be watched.
I doom scroll Twitter.
There's a fine balance. There's a very fine balance to be walked there, and that is that what is interesting on Twitter and what I care to talk about doesn't intersect very often. But when it does, I am happy to take advantage of that piece of the algorithm and make a show that people want to watch. And you know, we get fantastic memes like this, the quicker fucker upper.
Well, destruction is easy.
Well played.
Creation is hard.
It is. It is like creating more black jobs than any president in history. That was a difficult thing to do.
I'm just creating jobs.
Oh yeah, or creating American energy independence. That was a difficult thing to do.
Trump made it look easy.
It turns out the magic wand was a spine.
Right.
There's a joke that I will probably never get tired of.
Yes. Yeah. Also turns out that the magic wand for so many things, like, was Russia massing troops on the edge of the borders of its neighbors when Trump was president?
They were not.
They were not.
They were doing it before Trump was president.
And then they stopped.
And they're doing
while
it again
Trump was...
now that Trump is no longer president.
I see.
And part of that is Trump, quite reasonably, tried to maintain a reasonable relationship with people like Putin. And you got a lot of pushback for, oh well, Putin's evil. And yes, Putin's evil. Yes, Xi Jinping is evil. And it would be amazing if we could just stop having those people. But that's not an option.
Well, it's an option.
Well, it's not an option that our electorate can stomach.
There we go.
And it's certainly not an option that our elected officials can stomach. I mean, a lot of the problems that we have now can be traced directly to the just absolute cowardice of our elected officials. You'd have a hard time pointing to one that I wouldn't tell you was absolutely just pitiful and weak.
You mean like Ted Cruz being afraid of the domestic terrorists?
Oh my God. You know, I like Ted. And then he said some shit like that. Oh, but
Sorry,
I want to be
not
fair.
trying to derail you. It's just the first example that popped into my mind.
And there are a couple of things here I want to be fair about. One of the pieces here is this clip that's being aired. That's being shared.
Did not have the worldwide impact
Joe said
that George
I'll let y'all
Floyd's
listen to the clip.
death did. But even Dr. King's assassination did not have the worldwide impact that George Floyd's death did.
Now,
but even Dr. King's
I'll be fair to Joe. He did not say that yesterday. This is not from MLK Day. But he did say it. I mean, the clip's from like last August. It's an older clip. But he did say it. Right?
Well,
and so that, being reminded on MLK Day yesterday that he said it. Oh wow.
hey, we can come back to that. We can come back to that.
That's like its whole own thing.
Well, because they keep describing him as a British citizen, which he technically is. We have no idea why this British citizen We have no idea why this British citizen named Malik would go take hostages in a synagogue.
Right.
We don't even have a guess. Anyhow, worst presidency ever so far.
Now, what's interesting, there's a perfect. Managing editor, Facts A Truth, is clearly not a person who is well talented with the skill of editing. Facts A Truth. On so many levels, that's wrong.
Wait, I'm just going to read this. How historians rate presidents. After extensive debate by historians and experts, Donald Trump came out the second worst president in U.S. News worst president rankings. Clearly, hashtag Biden worst president ever is fake. Okay, just kind of off the rip, Donald Trump can
love this.
Donald Trump can be the second worst president ever, and that does not preclude the possibility that Joe Biden is the first worst president ever,
Correct.
Right? Okay,
that
all right,
correct.
just okay.
Now, I find it amusing that this happens to be the one at the top of the feed when I click back to the thread, because I opened this a few hours ago and read it. This is the... No, not that one. This one. This tab. So I'm going to have to shrink that down a little bit to get everything in the screen. Historians have for decades weighed presidents' virtues and accomplishments in a bid to determine the best and worst of the bunch. We're not going to read this whole article. It's kind of it's not a ridiculously long article, but it's long enough that we're not going to read the whole thing.
Is it wonkish?
Though modern job approval metrics were a bit lacking during the late 1790s, historians have for decades considered George Washington to be among the most popular, most effective, and most influential of the 44 men who have served as President of the United States. So, obviously, this is a little dated. This is from 2019. But this is an article that people are sharing in defense of the claim that Joe Biden is the worst president.
Washington finished only behind Abraham Lincoln. The 14-year-old in me giggled a lot at that sentence. In the inaugural presidential poll of historians by Arthur M. Schlesinger Sr., first published in 1948, in Siena College Research Institute's 1982 presidential ranking survey, Washington finished fourth in the eyes of the country's foremost presidential scholars, behind only Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Thomas Jefferson, and Lincoln. Look,
Jefferson and Lincoln.
Every time I see FDR on one of these type of lists, it's like one of the top 5 presidents. Like, you've told me so much about yourself and your ability.
You're a communist.
I don't know that I'd go so far as to say communist, and you could say ignorant.
It's the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing. I believed the lie about FDR until I was about 17 or 18 years old, and was able to... I think it was... Well, I had to come to a point. It's like when you're in the cave and you don't know you're in the cave.
FDR was so good, we had to prevent third terms.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. That's how awesome FDR was. Yeah. No, but like I didn't even know I was in the cave. It just was accepted that FDR was so awesome. It's why he got reelected 2 extra times, and the Depression would have been even worse if it weren't for him. Like, I wasn't even aware of the bubble that I was in.
Right.
And so I was literally like 17 or 18 years old before I was even exposed to the concept that no, FDR might not have been such a good president. In fact, he might have made the Depression worse. And that's when...
In fact, there's a good argument to be made that the Depression would not have even occurred without his interference.
It would have occurred, but it would have been brief.
It would have been... The argument being that it would have been a recession, but a quick recession and a quick recovery, like they typically are. One of the things that's instrumental about FDR's interference is throughout history, whenever there is a recession, it becoming a depression, it getting significantly worse, always involves government interference.
Well, his Treasury Secretary, Henry Morgenthau Jr., has got this quote. We've tried spending money. I can almost quote it. We've tried spending money and it doesn't work. We still have unemployment and depression, and now all of this extra debt to boot. And that came from FDR's own Treasury Secretary.
So, and I wanted to go ahead and share this article with you guys because, let me see where we get to it. After extensive debate by historians and experts throughout his presidency about where he might land upon a list of the Oval Office's worst, Donald Trump is the second worst president in U.S. history's news worst presidents ranking. There is certainly precedent for movement. Bush is one example, Levi says. Sometimes we see presidents who, if we get to know them differently, as we've gotten to know the second Bush, even the first Bush somewhat, as years go on, they climb a bit. The first Bush, for example, was seen as out of touch and unsympathetic to working folks at the end of his term in 1992. Yet, as time has passed, his stewardship of America's role in ending the Cold War has earned him praise. So what really happened there is Ronald Reagan solved some shit, and they couldn't stand to give him credit for it.
Yeah, then Bush inherited it.
Yeah, the wall, the Cold War, that was Reagan's vaccine.
Yeah, Ronald...
Remember when Biden got it after his inauguration? He literally said, we have a vaccine now, and that's not something that was true before I was the president. Biden was vaccinated at the end of the previous year.
I want to say this very carefully, but Biden might have been technically correct. I'm not going to say why or anything like that. I'm just going to... He might have been technically correct.
He might have been technically correct that the vaccine was not released until after the election was over by a week.
That's not what I meant, but that's also
that's
a thing.
Another excellent point I'm making.
That's another thing he might have been technically correct about.
So to be clear, the defense of Joe Biden in this whole conversation is, well, these uber leftist blue anon cucks totally defend George Bush and they hate Trump. That makes them super smart. And so Biden obviously can't be the worst president. And I'm gonna defend Biden a little bit here. I am going to go out and say I responded to a tweet by the Amazing Atheist who said Joe Biden is not objectively the worst president of all time. And I said, that's fair. In fairness, we need to look at Barack Obama, Lyndon Baines Johnson, and Woodrow Wilson for the worst presidents of all time. Because the truth is, Biden has exacerbated existing problems with his woke policy jargon nonsense and his ineffectual leadership. He has made choices with the Hamlin's razor. Never attribute to malice that which can be explained by incompetence. I'm having a hard time here because Joe Biden is so clearly incompetent. But there's a certain amount of repetition that cannot be explained away by mere incompetence.
The first time you touched the wet paint was an accident. Maybe even the first 10 or 12 times you touched the wet paint was an accident.
Well, let me take it this far. If Biden's dementia is so severe that his policy failures can be explained by incompetence, then it is the case that those on the levers of power who should employ the 25th Amendment to remove him for that incompetence, that inability to do his job, which is evidenced every time you buy a thing today, whether it's gas, milk, bread, I don't care what it is, lumber. Go buy anything.
Well, and look at your simple metrics, the things that everybody understands, like your Little Caesars hot and ready. That went up by 55 cents in price. The Mo Mondays,
and
which
that
has
doesn't
been
seem like a lot. But
and your Mo Mondays, which used to be $5.99, is now $6.49. Okay, and those things matter.
yeah,
I promise
those are
you,
actual metrics.
Little Caesars did not want to raise the price of their $5 hot and ready. They did not.
No.
They had no choice.
And for one, they wanted to keep saying it's a $5 hot and ready. Now they can't. I mean, they can pretend. They're gonna start hanging up banners that say 555, and it'll be effective. They'll probably even run some movie phone number gags to make it catchy. But that's not what they wanted to do. But what I was saying, what was I saying? Oh, what I was saying, as clear as it is that Biden is incompetent, that he can't actually remember that he touched the wet paint, even though his painted hand is still wet, before he touches it again. We can certainly attribute to malice the mere fact that those with the authority to do it, that would be the Vice President and the Senate, have not removed him from office for his clear incompetence. They're choosing to retain him there. And that's without even discussing the several acts which are clear commissions of crimes, of high crimes and misdemeanors, committed by Joe Biden. Right? The attempt on the vaccine mandate, the mask mandate, and the mortgage moratorium, right? The mortgage and rent moratorium, eviction moratorium. That's what I was looking for. The eviction moratorium We know these things to have been high crimes and misdemeanors from Joe's own mouth, because he admitted at the time that he did them. I know that these are unconstitutional actions, but we're going to go ahead with it so that we can enjoy the benefits of my crimes until the court catches up, which will take some time. And he was right. It did take some time. Now,
I know the FBI is going to investigate the hell out of me if I rob this bank, but I want to
but it's
enjoy
cool
that cash
I
anyway.
could spend that money for a couple of weeks, maybe, before they catch me.
Oh, okay. Sure.
And Steve points out 55 cents is 10% inflation, but the official inflation tally is 7%. Yeah, well, the obvious national average increase on gasoline is over 200%.
Well, and to be fair, 55 cents would actually be an 11% inflation, but now we're really quibbling over things. And I think when we're talking about something with a restaurant like Little Caesars, a lot of their pricing model revolves around everything that happens in the supply chain before them.
Yeah.
So if everything along the way has a 1% increase and there's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 steps in between Little Caesars giving you their pizza and everything that comes before it, a 1%.
For example, the fuel cost of shipping those ingredients to the
Right.
store.
Yeah.
More than doubling.
But if everything costs an extra 1% along the way, that's going to give you an average of... oh, Dave, no. That's going to give you an average of 10%. The 7% inflation number, for now, I'm going to accept that just because that's way too much. In fact, all inflation is too much. I've never bought that bullshit where...
You can fix inflation.
Look, I was going to say I've never bought that bullshit that says, well, as long as inflation's below 2%, it's fine. It's like, no, as long as inflation is 0, it's fine, assholes. Like,
if we have a metric for inflation, everything is not okay. Turn off the presses.
right.
That's it. Literally, if you turn off the printing press, inflation stops instantaneously.
But it could very well be well above 7% just because like when you start to see price increases on everything across the board, milk, toilet paper, office supplies, the kind of things that are going to bite us in the ass, that are going to bite you in the ass.
I'm not paying for toilet paper that bites me in the ass.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's not, nope.
And then...
Nope.
Oh, Steve, I'm not trying to be condescending to you. Don't take it that way, brother. I'm actually trying to chew into it a little bit, just to understand the metric itself. I'm just saying for now, I'll roll with the 7% number, even though rent has skyrocketed.
Well, Biden's inflation figure reminds me a lot of Obama's unemployment figures.
It's the new normal.
It's bullshit. I mean, remember when Biden suddenly 3 weeks before before his re-election, suddenly he got below 8%?
You mean Obama? It's 7%. I know exactly what
Yeah.
you're talking about because I even remember.
He just all of a sudden magically got below. No.
It's like 6.8%. Because I remember, because Rush Limbaugh predicted it like 2 or 3 months in advance. Said, I guarantee you, this will happen about 3 weeks before the election.
Yep.
Exactly.
So, we're creeping up on the hour. I'm gonna have to go ahead and wrap it up. I do want to go ahead and tag. Like I said, I'm going to be fair to Biden about how he can't be the worst president, given what he's done. He has only exacerbated problems that exist. The worst presidents, and I'm frankly not entirely certain what order I would rank them in, are Obama, Wilson, and Johnson. So
Jackson, you got to throw in. He's older, but Andrew Jackson has to go on that list.
No, these three in particular. These three together in particular are the three worst for a very specific reason.
Okay.
Wilson created the income tax. Without that, Johnson could not have created the Great Society welfare system. Without either of those, Obama could not have pursued Obamacare. All three of these have done compounding, irreparable harm to liberty in this country and the economy. They have done lasting, serious damage.
For the greater good.
When the United States of America collapses and dissolves, it will be because of those three occurrences.
Calvin Coolidge, the only libertarian president we've ever had. And that was before the Libertarian Party.
So
serious question. Is Biden a terrible president because of the things that he is attempting to accomplish but failing at? Or is Biden a terrible president because of the things he is attempting to accomplish and succeeding at?
yes, the latter. Just like Obama. The Obamacare disaster was not an accident. It was the intent. And this is not speculation. This is not me going back and looking at it and say, well, that was stupid. Anybody could have predicted that it was going to go that badly, that it was going to cause
No, the
costs to
dipshit Jonathan
explode.
Gruber explained it.
Well, even before that, like I was saying, this is not just hindsight. Before Obamacare was passed, before Obama was even elected, we were out here telling you. We weren't on this show yet telling you before Obama was elected. I was still in the Army back there, but I was telling people, anybody who would listen to me, you're out of your damn mind. This is going to cause inflation. This is going to cause all of your healthcare costs to at least triple and quadruple. And the only thing I got wrong in those predictions is it went far, far worse than I expected it to. And then we get Gruber. That was my next point on that. We get Gruber, just like Cameron was just saying, comes out and explains, we did this on purpose because the whole point was to cause enough problems to force the country to go to the single-payer, total socialist medicine program. That was the point to Obamacare. The whole point was to cause these problems so that we would be able to force the government to take over healthcare entirely. So we don't have to speculate on that. Right? Now you look at what's going on with Biden today. Gas prices, we didn't even talk about the filibuster situation yet. The Dems are all up in arms about the filibuster, and last Thursday, the same Dems that are saying filibustering anything is racist, filibustered a bill put forward to sanction the Russian oil pipeline. So the Dems got together and they used the racist filibuster to guarantee the continued U.S. dollar funding of the Russian pipeline, those evil Trump election stealing Russians, to guarantee the continued funding of their pipeline, having destroyed our economy in part by abandoning the pipeline that we were in the process of building. And you'll get the naysayers. Oh well, the pipeline wasn't built yet; it wasn't moving any oil yet. A big part of that, there's two major things there. One, there's several major things there. He didn't just shut down the pipeline; he shut down a lot of domestic drilling. Two, shutting down that pipeline was a major blow to the speculation markets, which caused the inflation, which is a major cause of the inflation on the price per barrel. And three, Biden guaranteed, like he said he would, that we are no longer energy independent, which means OPEC is back in the mix, which means running your car now involves funding terrorism. And that was the point.
Yeah. I was going to say something, but I don't. That's actually a fantastic spot to put the button on it, I think.
I agree. All right. Y'all be safe out there. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow.